Let's talk football. Oh my goodness. Week 14 is in the books.
Insane.
Done.
Like, I cannot believe that we only have 4 more weeks of regular season football.
How is that possible?
Babe, we are going to talk about
Super
it.
Bowl countdown is on.
It's
For
on.
sure.
It's on. And oh my God, some of these games, I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, Mahomes. Oh my God. Losing it. Niners, Seahawks, Vikings, and
Yes.
Raiders, even though why are we going to talk about them?
I know.
Bears, Detroit. I mean, we're going to talk about everything.
So
but
much.
we have to start off, I think, with would be, I think, the game of the week, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the Eagles
For sure.
and the Cowboys.
Wow.
Cowboys bringing it home at home, 33-13. Our page was on fire.
Yes.
Social media, the Dallas fans showed up. Thank you
Yes.
guys for all your engagement. The Eagles fans showed up. Did you guys see all the traction?
So
Yes.
much.
It was
Yeah,
crazy,
it was
right?
awesome.
And
we
what
love
I,
it.
right? And I love like the passion for everybody's team.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so exciting.
We
right now.
we are not selective to teams here.
No, we're
If
not.
you are a Vikings fan, if you are a Bears fan, listen, bring your charisma.
Yep.
Bring that energy,
Yes.
and
Yep.
we will talk about you too. But the Cowboys fans are bringing it right now.
Exactly. And I don't know, it would help if you win.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, yes. Also
They don't
that.
lose on turf.
Also
I'm
that.
just saying,
They
but
don't lose on
But
turf.
let's talk about the game. And, you know, I think we have to talk about Dak Prescott because right now he is definitely being mentioned as the MVP runner
Yeah, in the broader
in the
talks, broader-
conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would say that Brock's in there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, if Josh Allen can get it together,
He's in there too.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
he has the
Absolutely.
numbers for it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the wins, but he has the numbers for
Yes.
it, right? And then
Yes.
you have Lamar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what was your guys' takeaway about the game in general?
You know what I liked is that Dak admitted, hey, this wasn't my best game.
Yeah.
He admitted that straight up. But he still managed his offense.
Absolutely.
He still had 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I think there was a system being played where every team, like special teams, defensive, offensive, everything was clicking,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Everything just started to make sense.
Yeah.
Their kicker, the rookie out of Notre Dame,
Right?
26 for 26,
I
comes
mean-
in and is 30 for 30 now, 3 of which were from the 50-yard line.
59.
50,
And
like, yeah.
I think 60.
Yeah, 50
Insane.
plus. You know what
Insane.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you look at Dan Quinn, their defensive coordinator.
I like him.
I like him.
I do.
And look what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had
Executing.
like 3 forced fumbles for recoveries, like a bunch of sacks. Then you have the defensive player of the year, in my opinion, Micah Parsons.
I mean,
How dare you?
Well, I'm sorry.
Are you
but
serious?
he went into that
Where
game.
did this come
No,
from? That was like when Melissa came out of nowhere with Detroit. You came out of nowhere with Micah.
blindsided. You
Blindsided.
her.
No text. No nothing.
I truthfully believe he's
This
the
whole
defensive
time.
player of the year.
Wait, but this whole time I've been doing impressions.
But
You've allowed it to go on.
I know.
Allowed it to go
You've
Give
on.
him his
never-
flowers.
Wow. Okay.
You guys, he came into that game
All
saying
right.
he was ill.
He was.
Sick. Yeah.
He was.
Okay.
He still got a sack.
He did.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
He
Well,
did.
he
Give me
was
a
sick,
break.
and then after they won, he's like, "You got served."
Did he say that?
He did.
I love that movie.
Love,
Yeah. It
I
was.
love his little sound bites.
Yeah,
They're
he's
so
like-
good.
What do you
got
think? I mean,
served.
Melissa, what do you have to say?
Okay, just to oppose all of that, the Eagles though,
Sure,
right? Like,
yeah.
the Cowboys, they executed, they were amazing, they had a great game. Just to contrast that, can we talk about the Eagles a little bit?
Yeah.
Can we talk about both the defense and offense? Where were they?
Right.
Like it
In
was a
Philadelphia.
miss. It was
They were back in Philadelphia.
Stay on the
They
plane.
didn't make it. They didn't make the
it was
plane.
bad weather.
Yeah.
Missed flight. They literally, I was waiting and waiting and waiting, thinking, okay, second half they're going to show up. They're going to come
Yeah.
in strong. We know that they're capable of it. They are an amazing team when they are cohesive and balanced and working together. But that was not what we saw.
Well, and what was so weird to me because, you know, being that I'm a Niner fan, you're definitely keeping your eye on the other NFC teams.
Right.
And I go back to the draft.
Yes.
I was sitting there on the couch going, "Oh my God, they got another one. Oh my God, they
Mhm.
to me had the
Yeah.
best draft.
We said
last
that
year,
here.
right?
We said
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
here that
Yeah.
Eagles had the best.
Jalen
draft.
Hurts, like,
Mhm.
I mean, what was his name? I forget.
Yeah.
The guy from Georgia.
Oh,
Anyway,
I
you-
almost
yeah.
said Swift, but no. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing too with the Eagles: 3 turnovers, and here's what I thought was interesting: is all of them came from their main guys.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, the quarterback,
Mhm.
AJ Brown, your wide receiver, and then you had Smith.
Yeah.
Those were 3 turnovers. You cannot have those in these big games.
No, you can't.
I mean, I will tell you, and I was watching it on a big screen. We'll talk about this as I was actually in Dallas. But Jake Ferguson, I have to say, I kind of liked him. This guy was jumping over people and just like running people over. I mean, I think he had 72 yards and 5 receptions. Like
He's
he was
a
doing
solid
his thing.
tight end. He's a blocking tight end. He
I like
knows
it.
how to make possessions work. He's a rookie, and he's only going to get better. And I don't know, I mean, the Cowboys are known for having pretty decent tight ends.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
fair
true.
to say.
Well, don't forget McCarthy, the head coach, also had just got out of surgery.
Oh yeah,
4 days earlier.
appendicitis.
Yeah, right. I was like, I looked it up. I'm like, how fast should you go back to work? It wasn't 4 days. It didn't say 4 days.
No, I had acute appendicitis.
Oh, you
Only
did?
7% of Americans get acute appendicitis.
Oh.
But I was solidly
MD
out.
over here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
buy lotto tickets.
Okay.
I was out for a good week.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So-
See, I get it. And don't forget, I don't know if you guys saw the little, and a lot of trash talking this weekend.
Oh,
And I remember the AJ called Stephon Gilmore old.
oh,
And guess what? He shut that down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said it. He goes, how, I think they asked him, like, Stephon Gilmore, like, what happened? Like, you just came, like, you brought the heat. And he's like, he called me old. And you know what? I stand by that. Call me old and see what happens. I'm telling you. Those are
words.
fighting words.
call me pale and see what happens.
You can
let
call
alone
me smart.
old.
You can call me a lot of things, but you can't call me old.
No,
Yeah.
No.
I'm not old.
No. Let me go over the stats because I found this to be interesting. Hurts was 18 for 27, 197 yards, 30 rushing, no touchdowns. No touchdowns. I find that to be crazy. And then Dak had, 24, 39, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns, and shocking, he had 0 interceptions.
Amazing.
They don't lose on turf. This is their 15th in a row home win.
Exactly.
They don't lose on turf.
Exactly. And I think, I just think they had something to prove this weekend, right? They lost to the Niners and they were not going to, I don't know who you picked on your pick'ems. Did you? I think I chose Dallas, actually.
I think I did
I went with the
too.
home favorite.
Yeah.
Wait, do I see a guest? I do. Well, time out. We have a surprise for you guys. We will be right back. Today is a special day because we have a surprise guest who just happened to be driving down the street, saw Football Sexy, and said, hey, maybe I should go check out the Ice House and see what these ladies are up to. I heard they talk sports. And by the way, if he doesn't look familiar, which he probably should, but he definitely will sound familiar because, man, I know you're probably not gonna like this, but this is a legend in the making. You are amazing. You are the play-by-play broadcaster for, it's hard for me to say, but I did wear blue for you. The Dodgers,
nice. The voice of the Dodgers.
And so much more. Like I literally had to write it down because I couldn't believe it. It's like you're still with Sportsnet LA, ESPN, NFL, MLB, and oh yeah, you did this thing called the World Series.
Yes.
I mean, can we give it up for Joe?
Oh, wow. Thank
What?
you, ladies.
I was like, it took up my whole card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took up my whole
Wikipedia is
card.
quite
You got to
extensive.
write a little smaller.
Yeah,
There's
maybe.
room
I
there.
mean, what an amazing story.
Thank you.
We are all fans of yours. Thank you again. And thank you to our segment producer, Diana, for pulling some strings and getting you here to talk a little bit about sports and
course.
obviously football. But I feel like we should definitely get a little bit of your story.
Mhm.
I definitely want to hear about this letter
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
But how did you become a sports fan? I think it was with your dad and
Yeah.
with like a lot of us as well.
Right. Yeah. My dad was a football coach.
Okay.
And actually, my dad still is involved in football because he travels with me to my NFL games and he's my
Oh.
spotter. So he's standing next to me and, pointing to my charts and everything to help me out. That's an aside. As a kid, I grew up going to his practices and, I'd come to his practice after school and I'd take a nap in the pile of tackling dummies. And as I got older, I got more involved in his practices and then I played for him. And so even before I really thought about a career in sports and sports broadcasting, I was probably getting ready for it just because I was around it so much.
Right. And you ended up being a quarterback.
I
Yeah,
was.
you're built like a quarterback.
Right? Yeah.
Ooh, thank
you
you.
are.
Nice.
Yeah.
This
Six
guy.
what?
I mean,
Close?
I'm sitting, let's say 6'4",
Okay,
you know,
okay,
probably
okay,
about
we'll go
6
with
foot.
it.
You,
We'll go
you
with
don't
it.
know, I'm
Yeah.
sitting. 6 foot, playing weight, 185, 190. I'm way down no matter how
QB
hard
numbers.
I try. I can't
I
keep it
know.
on.
I love it.
You know?
I love it. But how, I mean, we have so many questions, but the letter, I saw something about this
Mhm.
letter and I thought that to be beyond interesting, beyond, fate.
Yeah.
Like you are meant to do exactly what you're doing.
Or I'm just stupid lucky.
Or you got
okay,
lucky.
So
I'm not
the
sure.
story,
Or-
I'm-
can you tell the
I
story?
swear, I get lucky
Okay.
so often. Yeah, it was when I was in college. I grew up a big Cubs fan and was going to a Cubs game. And Len Casper, their TV announcer, I was a big fan of his, just watching Cubs games every day. And I said, hey, at this point, I knew what I wanted to do. So I wrote Len a letter and put it in my pocket. My dad and I were going to the game at Wrigley. Walked to the stadium, got up to the press box. I was going to have the press box attendant deliver it to Len.
I love it.
Reached in my pocket and it was gone. So so sad, so disappointing. Cubs get beat per usual. Riding back to Michigan, and I see that I have a voicemail, and it's the owner of the Taco Bell across the street from Wrigley Field. Somebody's found the letter on the sidewalk and brought it to her.
Wow.
And she left a message and said, hey, it's got a footprint on it, but otherwise it's good. I'm going to take it to Len. 2 weeks later, I get an email from Len, and he turned into one of my biggest mentors. He made a
I got
call
chills.
for me. Yeah, right?
Right?
A year after that, I got my first big job, and that was in AA, the Montgomery Biscuits. That's
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
how I
not
knew
gonna lie, I had
made
to
it.
look that up. I was like, I didn't hear that
Yeah,
yet.
what is
but-
that, right?
Yeah.
Tasty food, but baseball team. So yeah, Len made the call a couple years after that when I was a finalist for that job, and I think probably put me over the top to get the job.
What an amazing story. And you know what? I mean, I'm sure you girls just to have the wherewithal to just go for it.
Yeah.
To go for it. A lot of people, and I think that's the difference between a lot of people that are in your position or they don't take that chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think I would change anything, but I was probably a little annoying, probably a little over the top, a little, because
Welcome to
I
my
now
world.
being in the other side of it and being in a position to be able to help aspiring broadcasters out, there are times where I'm like, wow, this guy's reaching out a lot. Like, this is a little much. And then I'm thinking, geez, this is not close to what I would do. Like, oh my
You're like,
gosh,
this is
was I a
like-
pain?
Right. Yeah,
But
no,
like I
relate
said, I
to
wouldn't
that,
change it.
by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, I can relate to that. But I mean, I know we have some Laker Dodgers.
Yeah,
A little
I
bit.
you
By the
know,
way, I am wearing blue for you.
Thank
we,
you.
I just wanna give you a little
we
bit of
like
big
to
deal.
tie
That's a big
everything
deal
in
for
here.
me. I'm a Giants
We,
fan.
we, we,
Yeah,
we
ooh.
like to
Don't
tie
hurt
everything
me.
in here, and this
No,
is a
let's do it.
football podcast. But I mean, we'd be crazy to not mention the fact that the Dodgers just spent a little over, I don't
my
know, like
God.
$700 million, 10 years for Shohei Ohtani,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
arm that's had 2 Tommy John surgeries, and you don't even know if he can pitch. But the real thing that gets me about this contract is that it's really kind of set up like an NFL contract. I don't know if everybody here knows this,
Yeah.
but the payments are deferred.
Of course. So you can't get
Yeah.
700 right off.
You're
the
not going to
bat.
get it until I think it was 2032.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
is-
he's going to get paid forever.
which is a
Yeah.
book out of the NFL
Yeah.
playbook.
Right.
And I mean, a play out of the NFL playbook. And what I liked about it is it really saves the Dodgers on luxury tax as well.
It does that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the big thing is that it allows them to continue to spend.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
was his idea. He wanted to, and it's not just deferring a little bit. It's $70 million a year that he's on the surface making. He's deferring 68 a year
Mhm.
to the future. So Shohei Ohtani, maybe the greatest player of all time, is going to be making
Yep.
$2 million a year, which means it's as if they just added the greatest player ever. But from a roster construction standpoint, it's like they didn't do anything, and they can continue to
Yep.
add pieces because all he cares about is winning. So it was a pretty awesome deal.
I mean, yeah, what other pieces? You have Mookie too. It's out of
I mean,
control.
Which is not
Yeah.
good for this. SF
No, it's not good for me. I'm an
Giants. I was
Angels
like,
fan.
are you serious?
I'm
Like,
an
we couldn't
Angels
get
fan.
worse.
Right?
Oh
if you
my
dare go
goodness.
after Mike Trout, I'm going to be.
It's
Ooh,
over.
man, that would
It's
just put it
over.
over the top,
It's
huh?
over.
Yeah, but then what I loved about you is you were a quarterback, right? And currently in the NFL, it's like all the first string quarterbacks are touring Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and oompa loompa doobity doo. Every week, another quarterback falls off, right?
Oh, man, it's horrible.
So we lost Herbert, season-ending surgery. CJ Stroud went out with concussion protocol. I find it even more like appealing now. Like, try to name who's still playing that started this year.
We said
Yeah.
it yes.
I know.
We said on last podcast. Who if you're a quarterback and you're like doing working at a grocery store, get ready.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Draft you pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay ready.
Right?
It's like the new quarterback is the new kicker of the NFL, right? You're gonna have just
On
this
a
camp of
rotation.
dudes ready to.
There's some teams that could use you right now.
I
we
mean,
need to pull you out of the
it's
blue.
Been a minute, but
What are your thoughts on this
Vikings.
right now? Like,
it
what do you think is
stinks,
happening?
Right? It stinks. I don't know. I don't know that it's anything other than just poor luck.
Yeah.
I had the Ravens and Rams game this weekend, and Lamar Jackson, who's a big part of his story has been that he's not been able to stay healthy. He's the only guy in the division that's still standing.
Right.
So I mean, it stinks because you want to see all the best players on the field,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
Can I bring it back to like 2012 for you really
Oh,
quick?
yeah.
I know we're going
Ooh.
back in time a little
Sideburns.
bit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I-
Sure.
Fashions to the football.
Yeah.
So you were calling the Sun Belt. You're
Mhm.
over there during the Johnny Manziel time.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just tell me some of your memories? Any standout memories?
Yeah.
Like what was that like, and what do you remember from that?
It's funny that you bring up
Huge
Johnny
game.
Manziel. I was just talking about that this weekend. One of his breakout games, maybe the breakout game, was against Louisiana Tech, kind of a
Right.
random game that I happened to get the call for. I was really, really young at that point, 23 or 24, and this was a big deal for me to get this game. And then it happened to be that it was his big game where everybody found out about Johnny football. And so he goes, wins the Heisman that year. And my calls from that game were all over the show. And that was the first time where I was like, oh my God, like people are going to hear me. Because,
Yes.
before that it was minor league baseball and it was games buried on ESPN, 8, ESPN the Ocho. So that, Johnny football, man, he's fizzled out, but we'll always have a special
back.
place in my heart.
Yeah.
Get him back in here.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's next. He's
Get
next.
him back.
Right.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if I said this because literally there were so many things. You've done football, you've done baseball, you've done college. But when I found out you did the wild card game
Mhm.
last year for my Niners
Oh, yeah.
and Seattle, I did get a little happy because I just can't imagine, and I know you're probably not a Niner fan, but that's okay. But to call these games, right? Is there a preference? I know it's probably hard to say, but like you're a Bears fan, right?
Grew up a Lions fan, actually.
you're Lions.
Grew up a Lions
Oh,
fan, so
we
I'm
have a lot to talk
I'm
about.
pretty excited this season. I'm not allowed to say that. I'm completely neutral now. I actually had Lions against Saints the other day, 2 weeks ago, and
How'd
I
that turn
played
out?
it down the middle. Like, look, it's been a
Turn
long
out.
time since I was the fan. You hate to
That's
say that,
Right.
I've
That's
been
what I
out
was
of the
going to
game.
ask you. Sometimes is it hard for you to call a game when you kind of just want to be a fan? Like,
That's
you're
a
like-
great question. I think it's okay to be. The way I channel that is I'm a fan of the sport.
Right.
I love football, and when I'm doing baseball, I love baseball, and I try to let those things come through as opposed to, it's been long enough where I've been a devoted Lions fan just because I'm busy doing games where I don't have to worry about that. Where it does get tricky is when I do the Dodgers on national TV.
Mhm.
So say I'm doing Dodgers Giants, and at that point I'm down the middle, but the other,
Right.
95% of the time I'm the Dodger guy. So that's the only time where it gets a little bit tricky in terms of making sure that you're calling it down the middle.
Right, because I think that would be difficult. And, knowing kind of like what we started with Football Sexy is like,
Mhm.
I really have an idea now of like what it takes to know as much as you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell us a little bit about like your routine and how you prepare for a game and how much time do you get notice?
We find out where we are like a week and a half, 2 weeks
Okay.
before, and then just kind of parachute in. But you're right. The preparation is probably just from a time standpoint. So the broadcast 3 hours. That's a very small percentage of the time of the job. 95% of the job is the preparation that you put in to get ready. So I spend all week reading all the articles from both cities. Fox sends us a packet that is just a PDF, just a plain text PDF of all the articles from the two cities. So this week I've got Chiefs and Patriots, and I got 50 pages of Patriots articles that show up each day, 50 pages of Chiefs articles that show up each day. I'm reading those and I'm building my spotting charts, which has all the players in a big
Other
blown up
stats?
way, and stats and stories that throughout my week of prep, it's kind of my landing spot for everything that I'm learning, and get that cleaned up as we travel on Friday, sometimes Saturday, production meetings Saturday night, doing meetings with the teams on Thursday and Friday. Used to always be in person, but Zoom has changed that. We're able to get that done from home and then make the moves to wherever we're headed, and do the game Sunday, start to work on the next week on the flight home, and do it again.
That's so interesting. I was going through your Instagram and I was looking at your old boards from let's see, it's Mayfield and Mahomes from Texas Tech and Oklahoma. And so I was wondering about that too. I was looking at your boards and how you have your stats and, you know, color coded different things.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to see how, you know, how you prepare, how you get ready, and then how you organize all your thoughts onto it. And also on your Instagram, I have to say, I love it because you only follow one person. I think you have like 40,000 followers, and he only follows one person, his wife.
Amen.
His wife. I had to be his wife.
I loved that so much. It just I was like so curious. I was like, who is? Oh, of course.
I figure it's a slippery slope, not like with women, just with Instagram, period, where it's like, boy, I don't want to like. It becomes a waste of time, right? It just sucks your time out. So it's one thing that I try to, you know.
And then your bio, just your one line. My kids think I'm cool. And I was
is that what I got on there?
Yeah. So cool.
I don't do a ton on there, but I'm glad to hear that.
And I just kind of puts family back into perspective.
Absolutely, that's the most important. We can talk all we want about football, but
talking about your wife, I'm assuming she's a sports fan as well, or not as much. Or how
she
does
is
that
a
work?
fan of my career, like whatever I'm involved
fan
in.
Of Joe.
Yeah,
I like it.
She's a fan of Dodger off days.
I love it.
Exactly.
I could imagine.
No, she not a huge sports fan.
Okay.
But she is an amazing wife, and so she's interested in what's important to me, and that is my job. And so she cares about, you know, she's excited for Ohtani, and she cares about what game I'm doing. And now that my 5-year-old son's really getting into everything that I'm doing, and you know, she kind of vicariously through him putting the TV on for him so he can watch these games and everything.
I can hear Dad.
Yeah, let's go. I would love that.
Right?
You know,
I feel like
20
he
years,
might follow
I go into the sunset, he can
footsteps.
take over.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now his little brother's going to be upset about that.
Well, we have quarterback. Well, there'll be some different things going
perfect.
on. There's
Perfect.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I feel like we would have to ask you about the Taylor Swift thing, like in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Chiefs, Kelce. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's funny you ask. I was, before I came over at the kids' school, before that, I was prepping for this week, and I get into this clips packet we're talking about, and there's like pages and pages of coverage about will Taylor Swift be there at Gillette this weekend. I'm like, geez, I guess I should probably have this stuff because I know we're going to show her. I know I got to be ready to talk about it. So I can tell you that they think she's going to be there because her schedule appears to be clear. And they also think Gillette Stadium's special tour because that was her first big NFL stadium that she had an appearance in, performed in the rain or something. I don't know. So
I'm a Swiftie. If you need any,
there you go. Is that all true? Does that check out?
True.
Okay.
Yes. If you need any backup, I'm here for you.
All right. I may need you. Those clips packets are good, but I can't say that I'm an expert on T Swift.
There's one thing I know. It's Taylor Swift.
All right.
Oh my God. So,
well, I mean, can we kind of talk about the game?
Yeah.
The Chiefs Bills game a little bit?
So
since you know a little bit here. I think we can all admit that was an amazing game. Yeah. And what I don't want to happen is some silly offsides call to take all the credit away from the Bills. Mm-hmm. And listen, I don't know your opinion on this. I used to do sideline reporting. So you get to know these athletes and you get to know their energies. I'm not mad that he threw a tantrum. You're an athlete. Mm-hmm. You have passion.
Right.
What I don't like is then when he went to hug Allen.
I didn't like that either.
He literally said that was the dumbest effing call I've ever. You're hugging a quarterback who just won.
Yeah, you got to have sportsmanship.
Have some sportsmanship in class. So, you know, what were your thoughts on that game?
Reading about it today, it sounds like the big gripe ultimately was that there was no warning issued. Right. And, okay, so how about this? You roll your eyes at it, but Andy Reid in 25 years as a head coach, do you know how many offensive offsides have been called against him in a quarter century prior to that play?
I bet I don't.
0. Because he said anytime it happens, there's a warning issued and it gets corrected. And if you need proof of that, the fact that it had never been called. So that's why they were so ticked off. And obviously that a penalty was thrown, but one that you never see called without a warning, and to come in that spot.
It's so weird because as a fan, and I'm a diehard Niner fan, right? And I've literally watched every single 49er game since DirecTV allowed me to. And sometimes you're looking and you're like, excuse me.
Yeah, back up.
And nobody's doing it. And I'm like, nobody called it. But you can see it as a fan a lot of times. And I'm like, well, it's not getting called. But, we'll give it to Mahomes. That was the first time we kind of saw him lose it.
Yeah.
He kind of lost it.
And he's already apologized for it. He's already said it's a bad look for kids that are watching me. So, man, he deserves some grace.
Right.
I agree. And the credit I wanted to give to the Bills was this game was their season was on the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Their season was on the line.
They needed it.
Their defense stepped up.
Yeah.
They showed up. They made stops.
Yeah.
Then look at the other side of the ball. I mean, my only issue with the other side of the ball is Stephon Diggs. I think that between Diggs and Allen, there's still this disconnect because of the back and forth talking, Diggs' brother getting involved, but they still found a way to make it work, right? Allen still showed up, had a great game, and defensively, I think it's I'm forgetting their coordinator's name. He's done a really good job at helping create really good mismatches. Yeah. And they've just been turning on. Cook got himself involved offensively this week. We love to see that as well. Brady's become a great coordinator for them. Yeah. I think this is the team that we will see in the playoffs. Yeah. That's my opinion.
And that leads me to my next question. Not to put you on the spot.
No.
But I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you, the power rankings came out. Niners were first, not just because I'm here.
Because they're the best team.
Because replay that. Say that again, Joe Davis.
Right now, 49ers are the best team. Can't argue.
You heard it here.
Yeah. Thank you. You heard it here first. My 49er faithfuls are
I'm guessing you didn't hear it here first. I'm guessing you
maybe not.
heard it
maybe
there
not.
first, but
maybe not. Well, no. And you know what I love about this year is I feel like it's the Niner-Dallas rivalry again, right? It's that the catch. By the way, I want to know your Super Bowl predictions if possible. But I also thought about this and was like, is there a moment, a play that you were like, dang, I wish I could have called that?
Oh, man. A lot. I mean, as a kid, it was every moment that would happen. I sat there and said, man, how cool would it be to one day be that guy that gets to call those moments? I mean, the play that got overturned by the penalty on Sunday in Kansas City would be a fun one to call. And Jim did a great job calling that play, only to have it wiped away. Those ones stink, right?
That's
where you feel like you got this epic play and you're like, yeah, I nailed that call.
Right.
Going to hear that for years. Oh, yeah, there's a penalty. It didn't even count.
the immaculate conception that never was.
No,
really,
right.
I'm sure somebody will coin it. You should coin it. I think we're going to coin that, right?
All right.
No.
Okay.
All right. So, Super Bowl. Are you going to be in Vegas by chance?
I won't be. Kevin Burkhardt.
Okay.
We'll do that.
So you get your wife will be happy.
It's not Fox this year, but Kevin Burkhardt will be the guy if it was Fox. Wife will be happy. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you should come here because we're going to be here in Pasadena.
Yeah. This is true.
That means since you just drive by here
watch party.
Watch party.
Huge watch party.
Yeah, Johnny, Buzz, Penny, all of us.
I mean, I do think the 49ers are the best team. Whether or not that means they go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, we'll see. But we had them week 1 against Pittsburgh. We had them a couple times since then. Interestingly, we had them week 1 against Pittsburgh, and then we had them in Jacksonville when the sky was falling, and they had lost 3 in a row.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And, it's to see the different perspectives and the roller coaster that an NFL season is, you put it all together, and it's like they are still, I mean, they're loaded on offense with weapons. Brock Purdy's better than anybody could ever have imagined. He's not just fit a piece to the puzzle. He's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL by many measures.
Right.
And then the defense is outstanding. So I think that they are the best team. Now, I think the Cowboys may be the hottest team. And there's so much is what you do or what you're doing when you get there.
Right.
And on the AFC side, I think it's wide open because, like you mentioned, the Bills, you think you're going to see them in the playoffs. I think you're probably right. And I think you don't want to see them in the playoffs as an opponent.
No.
So, I mean, you could see them.
Not when Josh Allen's finding 9 different receivers in a game.
Yeah. But it's wide open. I mean, at Baltimore this weekend, I don't know. I don't know if I'm totally sold on them. Dolphins, you're not?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lamar. I know he's great. I know, but I must be bad luck for the Ravens because every time I watch a full game, they lose, and I'm like, why? Why are they talking about
games?
So whenever I watch a game, I'm just not impressed. But the stats are there. But I think and that's what I love about football, right? Is you never literally like any given Sunday.
Well, speaking of that, can I pick your brain about the Lions? I have just become a giant Lions fan this year.
Just what happened?
Big cat fan over here.
Yeah, that's what
Big
I said.
cat fan.
She came out on our day one podcast and we're like, wait, you walked in here a Niner fan and you left a Detroit fan.
I watched Hard Knocks. Dan Campbell stole my heart.
Love him.
Okay, as a coach, I just like hard eyes. I'm just like, this is who I would want to play for. He just knows how to get his team moving. I think we've seen that in the 3 years that he's been with the Lions now as a head coach. And it's just, they're so exciting. Although, as of late, it's been a little disappointing. So as a former, maybe still a little bit Lions fan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I can tell you as somebody who covered them 2 weeks ago too, they're fun and exciting offensively, and the games are fun and exciting because they stink defensively, and it's 40-39. And like, I just think they're a year away because of that. It's going to be hard, I think, to make I could see them, obviously going to make the playoffs at this point, but an early exit because somebody's going to sneak up and outscore them.
Yeah, I think they're just young, unexperienced as a team. Right?
And they're a year ahead too.
But come on, guys. This is the second time they've played the Bears. Their defense didn't step up. Somebody other than Hutchinson has to do something.
No doubt.
I love him.
Amazing, but he is one, like you said.
What is he doing? Make some stops. Come on, guys. And you've already played this team.
Yeah.
Come on.
Wait, when you said 2 weeks ago, were you Thanksgiving?
The week after.
Oh, okay.
Was in New Orleans.
Because then I had Jack Harlow questions.
Ooh, yeah. I don't have answers for you on that.
Okay. But so let's talk about the Super Bowl prediction. I know you think, and I agree with you, by the way, is that, and I think a lot of people do, is right now the Niners are the most complete team.
Yeah.
They are. And Brock Purdy, I've said it from beginning, not just now, that he will be the next franchise quarterback for San Francisco. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I can tell you that he's as good as he is as a quarterback. He's awesome as a person.
Love that.
To sit down with.
Love it.
You can know that he's, it really does feel like he's from, he went to Iowa State, and he's not from the Midwest, but it feels like you're sitting down with a Midwest kid who could be doing any one of a number of jobs as opposed to the top quarterback in the league at this point. He's just as down to earth as they come. And who would have thought? I know you say you did, but we had the Dolphins game when Garoppolo went out last year, and he got his first chance, and we're like, oh boy, here comes Mr. Irrelevant. We'll see how this goes.
Right.
Played well that game. Played well to finish the season. Obviously into the playoffs, but then you get to this point, and it's more than a year of work, and you can't argue it anymore. It's more than just a guy who's kind of come in and steadied the ship. He's
quarterback.
A stud.
Yeah. He's not just a system quarterback. He is, I think, showing, and I love Jimmy G too, but I always talk about this as like when Jimmy G would drop back, you're just kind of cringing a little bit. You're just like, I really don't know how this is going to go. You didn't get that with Brady. You didn't get that with certain quarterbacks. And Brock, I don't get that with Brock.
Yeah, more and more every week, right? There's that sense of comfort, I would imagine, as a 49ers fan.
And I love that you say he's a good guy because that's how he's seen. We always talk about his Cole's outfit, because everybody has the drip, right? They have all the bling. Yeah. And we love that he has his little backpack, his little khakis.
And the cornfield on his plow.
Yeah.
Off days, just like.
Yeah, I always say, and when we always talk about if we stay healthy.
Yes.
If we stay healthy.
For every team.
Right? Yeah. If we stay healthy, I really think that they'll pull it out,
Absolutely.
Who else besides the Niners do you think? Dallas, obviously.
Dallas
do you
is
agree
hot.
with the power rankings right now then?
What did I even see? What do they have?
Dallas, number 2, Eagles, Ravens, and Detroit.
Yeah.
Those are the top 5 right now.
I think that feels right. I think that you still can't count the Eagles out. Ravens, like I said, I'm not entirely sold. Maybe the Rams are better than we realize.
Wow.
And I'm not saying they belong near the top of the rankings. I just mean maybe I shouldn't be as down on the Ravens after what I saw Sunday as I am. And it's not that I'm down on them. I just see 10-3, but then I see an inconsistent team. Some days they're gonna do what they did to the Lions and look like the best team on planet Earth, and other days they just don't totally have it. For a lot of Sunday, they didn't totally have it. So I think that's why the AFC is wide open. Again, Kansas
Yeah.
City's 8-5, but you're not going to count out Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. I don't rambling.
Never.
But yeah.
No.
Another big topic right now is that darn tush push. Should we or should we not eliminate that? Thoughts?
I don't mind eliminating it because I'm kind of sick of talking about
Right?
it. Right?
Sorry, I brought it up.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, I got the Eagles on Christmas Day.
I'm so sick of it too.
And it's
annoying.
Yeah,
so should we get rid of it? What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
I agree. Should we call Roger?
Yeah, go ahead and make
Call
it.
I'll make that call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
The other question I have, I know we're talking about football, but I have to go back to football, baseball, college, everything you've done.
Mhm.
Right now, some of these teams are 6-0 final score, 3-0 Vikings, Raiders. If I'm you in the booth, as a fan, I'm going nuts. We talk about it all the time. We're like, oh my God, just, you know what I mean? How do you get through games like that? Like, where do you pull from when it's not an exciting game, I guess?
You're right. Harder than the 6-0 game, though, is the 60-0 game.
Oh.
At least when it's 6-0, it's like it's still dramatic.
Yeah, both teams are sucking.
Right.
Yeah,
What do you want me to
and
say?
It's close. You want the game to be close.
Right.
Yeah.
When it's a blowout, that's when we
Miami
say you're
blowout,
Like
really.
70 to 20?
Exactly.
Like 70 to 20?
Exactly. That's when you're earning your money. And we do all this prep during the week. A lot of what we prepared doesn't get in. You never hear
Right.
because the game
Right.
takes precedence.
Yeah.
Now, when it's a blowout, that's when that work really
going
comes to
through.
play. Yeah, you're telling stories and
Yeah.
making it interesting in ways other than, 1st and 10.
So that's what I was gonna bring up. Like when I used to do sideline with ESPN, and we were gonna do a game that we're like, oh my gosh, this is a guarantee game. I know exactly what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
I would always try and go and find like kitschy stories
Yep.
about the random players on the team to be like, you know what's funny? He worked at a Baskin Robbins
Right.
and he can
Right.
no longer eat ice cream.
Right.
Like, because you have nothing to say.
Yeah, and you're not going to use that if the game's good.
No, and
but-
how many times can you say like their defense is not playing well? Like, get out of
Exactly.
here.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're always prepared. I mean, it only happens, hopefully, especially in the NFL, rarely happens where it's a blowout. But when it does, you better be ready.
Did you run into that this year?
See, we've had a pretty good year of games. We thought we were running into it in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. It was 21-0 Lions, faster than it's been 21-0 in any game in like 2 decades.
First quarter, right?
like 6 minutes
Yeah.
in.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
And
yes.
we're like,
Oh, this is
God,
gonna
here
be
we
heat.
go. Wound up
Coffee.
being closer. Yeah.
Coffee.
Right? Coffee or like replacement. Anybody want to take over on
Right,
this one?
right,
I'm gonna
right, right. I
Fly
gotta go
back
home.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The
truth
wife's
be
calling.
told, I had a good few days in New Orleans, made a guy's trip out of it. So I was not
Okay.
feeling great
Okay.
at the time. It was like, here we go. You know, like I'm like feeling how I'm feeling. And it's 21-0 like that. Thankfully, it wound up close.
I'm glad you mentioned the guys trip, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm thinking, how do you? Because again, we're new in this space,
Mhm.
right? All women talking for football. This is the first podcast of all women talking football, and we do our homework, right? And I'm thinking, like, this is just for 1 hour. I can't imagine what you guys go through. How do you turn it off? And what do you do for fun? What do you do outside of preparing? And I'm sure with the kids, you have 3 kids, your wife,
Yeah.
but like, is there something that you're like, oh, I just need, like, I smoke cigars? Is it you play chess? Like, is there anything that kind of like takes you away from all of the craziness?
Yeah,
Of
it's first and foremost, it's my family, and it's
Aw.
mostly that.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm kind of a boring guy. Like I don't have that many interests because nobody has time, right? But when I'm not traveling or when I'm not preparing for a game, I can't go spend 5 hours on a golf course and tell
Right.
my family bye. I've been gone for 4 days and now
Right.
I'm back home and I'm going to go golf. I can't go boat. Like I don't have a boat or anything like that. I love food.
I saw a big barbecue
Yeah.
and I saw some steaks.
Yeah, cook. I like to cook food. My wife and I we're big foodies, going out trying restaurants all over LA. So it's pretty much just my family, my job, and then fitness and food, and they kind of work hand in hand. One
Mhm.
so I can do the other.
Right, right.
But yeah, the big 4 there, I guess: family, job, fitness, and food in whatever order.
Right. Now, I think a lot of Dodger fans would kill us if we didn't bring up Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about,
Mhm.
and even as a Giant fan, that voice, those moments, being on the other side of that, by the way, many
Mhm.
times, iconic. And can you tell us anything about your time? Because if you replaced, is that okay to say?
Yeah, I never tried.
can't-
I
I
never looked
know.
at it like that.
Right.
I like to say I was the guy that followed him.
Right. There
and,
you go.
You can call it replacing. I don't think it was going to be healthy for me mentally
Yeah,
to
that's not a
look
good
at
word.
it that way. And nobody's going to replace the greatest ever to do it. I'll say that I didn't have much crossover with Vin because his last year was my first year. He was doing just home games. I was doing just road games. So we didn't see each other. But what I'll say is that being able to be the guy to follow him is largely why I wanted the job, as opposed to, I think a lot of people looked at it and said, you don't want that job. You don't want to be the guy that follows
Come
the
after
guy.
that.
But I'm like, okay, I get it, but am I going to not take the job? How is that going to feel in 10 years and in 50 years? When I say I had a chance to be the voice of the Dodgers, but I didn't do it because I was scared it wouldn't work.
And that little boy who took the letter.
That's right.
Announcer box.
Yeah.
I mean, how
Yeah, of course you have to take it.
Yeah.
Now
And
you have to take this job. And I like the word followed, right?
Yeah.
You're paying homage to what he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many Vince Scullys. I mean, when I think of like announcers at that caliber, it's like Vince and Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
And you are coming in, you're paying respect to him. You're making it your own. It's been a very smooth transition. I have a ton of Dodger friends who are very big on critiquing people. And I hear nothing but amazing things about
Thank
you.
you.
You have a great cadence. You know how to talk baseball. You're very understanding. And you really make the game feel welcoming.
Thank
And
you.
I think that's a huge deal when it comes to broadcasting.
Thank
So
you.
you're doing a great job.
It means
And this
Yeah.
is from an Angels fan.
And this is
Means a
from a
lot.
Giants fan. And we're being serious. Like you are, and that's why I said I really believe what I said and how I started out the podcast was this is a legend in the making for sure.
Yes.
And I know you probably have to go, but I want to just ask you one more thing, and that would be, did you guys have any other questions? I'm sure that Joe has some steaks to grill and it's been such a pleasure having you here.
It's been a
I
pleasure
can't tell
being
you how
here.
much
Thank
that
you.
means to us for you to come and
Yeah.
hang out with us. We love football. We love women that love football, but we love announcers who call our games. And you know what? That's the thing too. We forget. They played games before with no announcers. Do you remember that? And they tried that. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah, that's
horrible.
good job security, right? You see
Oh
that at
my
first, like,
God.
oh God, this is the end, and then it's like people
Horrible.
don't like this.
No.
Good.
And you know what? I tried to call it myself. I was like, well,
How'd they go?
not good at all. Not good at all.
It looks in case you're
Not
wondering.
good
That's
at
funny.
all.
Okay,
Not
so
good.
Joe, when's the next game we can hear you on?
Sunday, Chiefs Patriots,
Pretty big game.
and then Christmas Day, Tommy DeVito, and
Oh
the
my
Giants
God.
in
That's-
Philly.
Tommy DeVito
Against the Eagles.
with the hardest working agent in
Did you
sports
see-
right
Oh,
now.
I
Did you
did.
see the
You can't
Agent?
not
All this
see
stuff.
it. You
How
can't
is
not
that
see it.
All
going
this
down?
stuff,
Oh, it's
huh?
exciting.
And do you like to go to Philly between you and I? Just we won't tell
Philly,
anyone.
I love it.
Really?
I love it. So my first World Series was Phillies Astros.
Man,
so
oh,
I
man.
spent like
Oof.
the whole month in Philadelphia.
And for a foodie.
It's
I
a
mean,
it's a
Oh.
great city.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
so I
a
do
lot
like
of
it.
a lot of Eagles fans get a bad rap.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I just
Yeah.
had to ask.
Philadelphia sports fans get a bad rap, but I think it shouldn't be a bad rap. It should just be they are passionate and they
Yes. I
care.
love
And it's
that.
why the
Yep.
environment's
And
there.
from a
It's
Yeah.
so
Detroit fan,
amazing.
I mean, Detroit fans.
Very much
the
so.
same
Totally.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, we'll
I
hear
love
you
it.
and see you Sunday and then on Christmas Day.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you,
let's
ladies.
go. And football is.
Sexy. Oh, that's my
Boom.
job. You pointed
Let's
at me.
tell
I
you,
think it's my
football
job to
is-
say sexy.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
ladies.
right.